Says I am live. Okay, guys. Hey, I'm Big John at Big Man, Alaska, and I've currently been doing a weight loss journey for approximately the last 6 months. Now, I've lost a considerable amount of weight. I started out doing a fasting process and worked on into intermittent fasting, different types of food experiments and stuff like that, just trying to find my rhythm, which eventually ended me up in a situation where I didn't know where I wanted to be, didn't know what I wanted to do. Keto wasn't working as well as I thought it was going to, even though a low carb type diet was very beneficial at the time. But what I'm doing here today is this could possibly be my end of the year update because of work. I just happen to have tonight off from hauling snow, so I wanted to make use of my time wisely. And normally I'd be up right now running around town hauling loads of snow and taking it away to the snow dumps. But when this entire journey started, I was definitely morbidly obese. I was up around 435 pounds. Now that's a pretty big number. Now I did do a weight just a little bit ago to see where I was at, and I've eaten a lot of food today. Um, I'm still sticking with majority ketovore type lifestyle. I'm having problems being 100% carnivore, but I am working to that direction with a lot of recommendations and a lot of help from the community and people like you that are watching this video right now. So that's extremely nice. But let's see here. And I do apologize for these feeds being random because I don't have a set schedule for my life. So I could be hauling snow during the day. I could be doing something for somebody else throughout the daytime hours too. So just trying to get sleep is hard enough as it is. But yeah, anyways, back to my sleep apnea. Now, I had a problem with sleep apnea a long time ago, and a lot of it had to do with my weight and the size of my neck right here. I have a little bit more definition in my neck now, which is hugely beneficial to all of this. And I was hoping with the weight loss, I was going to be able to get to a point where I could completely come off my CPAP. And I believe I'm pretty close to that right now. Now, the big news today is that today was the first day that I deliberately took a nap for about 4.5 hours, a little bit longer. And I wanted to see how I felt without using my CPAP. And I slept great. I had some solid REM sleep and really good dreams, and the dreams just kept rolling right on through, and it was kind of nice. But I slept, I took a nap before that because I get out of work at about 6 in the morning. So I lay down for 3 or 4 hours. I get up and then I start taking care of stuff around the house. Maybe get something to eat. And then I lay back down, and I'm usually up about this time on my way to work. But yeah, that's big news for me that that I was actually able to sleep without a CPAP mask on. Before this, my AHI was so high, like 98 or something. It was in the high 90s, my apnea index, and it was just so high that I was terrified, if the power went out. So I have actually several backup units for CPAPs. I never did get a battery backup, which I probably should have, but I was terrified if the power went out that I would have a hard time sleeping and then being functional the next day. Just because going to bed scared me because I was suffocating so bad. So the good news is I didn't suffocate and die in the last, several hours that I took this nap. I was extremely happy with everything that happened. So let's go over my CPAP numbers. I did take down some notes. Now the machine I'm using is it's a ResMed AirSense 10 machine. It's an AutoPAP machine. So basically I set the number to where I want it, and then I can have it up as high as 20. Now the highest pressure I've seen in the last week or so has only been like 11. So my pressure's set at 10 and it's 11. If I go any lower, if I set the pressure any lower, the machine doesn't like it too much. So, and it throws off a lot of weird readings. So basically what I have it set at is a auto setting of 10, and then it could increase up to 20, but it doesn't get there anymore because I've lost so much weight. Let's see, CPAP numbers of my events per hour. I'm looking at 1.2 for AHI. That's a super low number. Now, before, when I first started, that number was pretty high. I mean, it was up like 10 or 12 on the daily for a while. And then over time, it gradually started coming down, and it came down really fast once I started a series of fastings and losing weight. It came down pretty quickly from there. And then about halfway through this weight loss journey, I was able to actually decrease my numbers on my CPAP. Let's see, my current AHI is 0.5. That's awesome. That's a great number to have. My total AI is 0.1. My central AI is 0.1. And yeah, you can't ask for much better numbers. I mean, I'm about ready to schedule another sleep study and see if I can come off my CPAP altogether. But now that I got that figured out and I got my sleep situation pretty much dialed in, yeah, I did want to talk about my religion and how all this has played a role up until this point. Now, I do respect anybody that has opposing religions or different religions or people that don't have any religion at all, because, you know, we're all fighting the same battle here. We're on this planet for a short amount of time, and we're just trying to get through it the best way we know how. Losing weight is part of that process, and that's what a lot of us are here for, because the majority of us that were morbidly obese are still morbidly obese, and I'm still technically morbidly obese for a little while until I figure out how to get another 10 or 11 pounds off. And, you know, I thought it was going to be on Christmas, and I prayed for that. I prayed hard. I also prayed, you know, to be down below there by New Year. It doesn't look like I'm going to make that, but I'm not going to let that discourage me. I'm going to keep going. I haven't gone off the rails on the holidays. Thanksgiving, I did good on Thanksgiving. Christmas was great. I had Christmas here in this room here. We opened presents with my family and my kids. They went out of town. They're visiting family for the rest of the week, and they'll be home hopefully Friday. But it's just me here and the cats, and everything's been going good. You know, there is that stress here in Alaska with you know, the cost of living and stuff like that, with inflation and all that going up, and the prices of groceries are just already high because everything needs to be shipped up here. But before I started fasting, I prayed a lot. And the things I was praying for was the guidance to help me find a path. And that path took me on a journey of researching and studying fasting techniques for, I want to say, approximately 3 months before I even started my first initial fast. And I was looking back in time, you know, okay, this is how I felt when I was younger. How I was eating when I was younger, the differences in the types of food we ate, you know, up until about the 1980s to the early 90s. That's when everything changed, was right in that time frame when a lot of foods, box foods, started to come available on the shelves because things were just jacked full of preservatives, and they started getting jacked up with things like high fructose and seed oils and stuff like that, because it just lasts longer on the shelves. And that's when I noticed my body start changing. It was right around when I was getting out of high school. And then about 6 or 7 years ago, I noticed I was starting to get a gut at about the age of 25. But yeah, the whole aspect of prayer has been super powerful in all of this, especially with fasting. There's a huge benefit to things like prayer and mental preparation before you start a fast. And that is one of the number one things. So even if you're not religious, just take in mind that in order to do a fast, you're not starving yourself. You're setting a start date. You're mentally preparing yourself. I'm going to start, let's say tomorrow at 6 a.m. I'm going to start my fast. That's getting your brain, you know, your cogs are working. All right. Your whole body is getting prepared to do something different. Now, your brain doesn't really understand it, like when it actually happens, because it's going to constantly send you food signals like, hey, I want to eat now because I'm used to eating right now. And so this is why being mentally prepared, like say, if you could pray about it, this is very, very helpful for doing a healthy fast, because you need to have a mental date to start, a start time, and then you're going to need to have a finish time, regardless if it's, 24 hours, 12 hours, or even 3 days down the road. Doesn't matter. You just need to actually just try to blend it all together in a way that you're mentally prepared. Like, I'm going to start a fast tomorrow morning at 6. I'm going to end my fast in 3 days. And a 3-day fast is perfect for getting your body's metabolism working again, because that's where I was at. I didn't have a metabolism anymore. I didn't sweat anymore. So I had to do something pretty dramatic. And how I came up with that is I was looking in my past at past relationships, when I had a broken heart, or I had, devastating situations like family members passing away, and I dropped a lot of weight. I'm like, okay, I need to do something like that, just without all the drama, in a healthy way, because I was losing weight fast in those situations. And, sometimes 20, 30 pounds were coming off in a couple of weeks, no problem. But that was stress related. That's a starvation type diet. That's me just not wanting to eat. And so I was trying to come up with my own plan. And this is how I got here to this point now. Because, when I went through my divorce, I dropped weight like boom. It was just coming off so freaking fast. I was eating a lot of chicken, broccoli. That's if I was eating at all. Some of my coworkers were actually buying me stuff and sitting me down and saying, "You're not going back to work until you eat this sandwich." So once in a while, I would, at least once a day, they were force feeding me to eat. And again, that was stress related weight loss. Now, when you're fasting, it's not stress related. It is putting your body in a stressful situation, but you're mentally preparing for that fast, and you're trying to have a mental outcome, because there's some expectation of why you're doing a fast. So you're either just trying to let your gut reset itself, and then you're just going on back to your normal routine after the fast, because sometimes, like after a holiday, we may overeat. And I hope everybody that had a wonderful holiday and a Merry Christmas. And I hope you guys are going to make it into the new year. But after the holidays, a lot of people do these New Year's resolutions, and I don't do New Year's resolutions. I don't sign up for gym memberships anymore, because I believe gym memberships are a scam. But that's just my opinion, because you get locked into these silly things, and then all of a sudden you might lose your job or something. You can't afford to pay the gym membership, and now you're stuck with a bill. We don't need any more bills. But yeah, back to the whole mental aspect of prayer and fasting, is that when I did that 5-day water fast, that was the longest fast that I ever did on purpose. Now, all the fasting I did prior to that, like I said, was breakup type situations where I went like almost 2 to 3 weeks with no food. It was just water. That's every time I got hungry, it was just water. And water's been my go-to even right now. I drive a truck and I'm hand to mouth, the whole hand to mouth thing. You either want a cigarette, you want to vape for a little bit. And quite often we'd have like, a bag of potato chips or a box of Cheez-Its, or just something to eat while we're in the truck. So if I do get a snack now, I'm basically just using things like beef sticks. I might stop at a gas station and pick up a bag of, beef sticks, and that'll just tide me over until I can get home and make some burgers or steaks or some liver, eat some hard-boiled eggs and maybe some cheese. But that works really well. And so when I get that fidgety, I have to have something in my mouth or put something in my mouth. I always have bottles of water right next to me within arm's reach. So when I'm driving down the road, I can just reach over and I can just pick up something and take a drink. And that worked out great, because I was starting to get thirsty. My mouth was getting dry. But that's just one way that I'm getting through the whole hand to mouth aspect of truck driving and my addictions to always wanting to put something in my mouth and always wanting to eat. Because when I see food, yeah, I want to eat it. That's been a thing for the last at least 8 or 9 years. And I would kill pizza. If I saw pizza anywhere around me, yeah, it was going to be eaten, because I was a pizza fanatic. But now, let's see here. So this week last 2 weeks, actually, I've been showing some weight gain on the scale, and it's been driving me nuts. And it's tossing me for a loop, and I'm really not gonna let it bother me, because now I'm over here, my scale's right over here, and I'm looking at it like it's a Ouija board, because I'm like, you're possessed by Satan, because I've been going, week after week, month after month, with consecutive weight loss. And at some point, I figured that weight loss was going to stall, and it was going to start going the other direction. Now, throughout this journey, I've had several weeks where, I might have gained 2 to 3 pounds, but nothing like the last 2 weeks. Let's see, I did take a note of this, and I have it right here handy. Let's see, my weight today was just now a few minutes ago. Now I have some clothes on, I have some shoes on, my pants and stuff like that. So my weight's a little bit up, but whatever. It is what it is. We're at the end of the year. I'm not going to worry about this, because I'm still eating the right way. I'm still eating the same way I was when I was losing all of that weight for the last 6 months. I've been eating good foods. And as long as I keep doing that, and as long as anybody that's doing a weight loss journey continues to just keep the routine going, you're still going to be healthier coming out the other end. So I started the weight loss journey. I was 435 pounds. Today's weight, I was 311.4 pounds. So the total weight loss for the entire journey up till this point at the end of this year is 123.6 pounds. That's in approximately 6 months. Still, that's a fantastic number, and I can't let that bother me, that these weight gains are happening, because I'm not off the rails. I'm not eating fast food. I'm not running around, just eating crazy amounts of carbs. I do allow some vegetables, and I do allow some fruits, but I'm not overindulging in foods like that by any means. And nothing now is different than it was a month ago, except for I eat a lot more meat. And that was another thing, is carnivore was a mind bender for me, just trying to wrap my head around just eating meat. And there was a lot of mental type psychological aspects to doing carnivore, because if you're just eating meat, you're saying goodbye to so many things in your life. And it's just huge, the amount of stuff that you say goodbye to. And after the first 3 months of experimenting with carnivore, ketovore eating principles, and coming up with my own 90%, 90-10 principle, which is 90% meats and fats, and 10% is, my potential fruits or vegetables or something like that might be added in there. But the whole psychological aspect of just wrapping my head around, I'm just going to be eating meat, to me, to my wife, to a lot of other people I talk to, it sounds sad. It sounds miserable. But after the first 3 months, it doesn't become miserable anymore. I noticed that I don't have that drive to go out to eat like I did a year ago. Now, a year ago, I was going out to eat for, let's see, breakfast. I was stopping and getting one of those really expensive, sugary, fatty coffees in the morning. I was already wrecking my day before I even got to that point, because my morning coffee here at the house contained that nasty type flavored hazelnut creamer. And that's full of soy and all kinds of problems. And also high fructose and other sweeteners are added into that. Plus I was putting sugar on top of my coffee. And I drank 2 or 3 of those before I would even leave the house to go buy a sugary coffee at one of the local coffee stands here in Alaska. And so I was already wrecking my day. I wasn't eating breakfast. I wasn't exercising or taking care of myself. And then I was leaving the house, and I was wrecking it some more with an espresso type coffee. And if you're a Starbucks drinker, I'm sorry you don't have taste buds, because I've never found a Starbucks coffee that tasted worth a darn. My son's addicted to those things, and it's just sad every time I see one of them pop up in his hands. I'm like, boy. And I try to gently explain it to him, like, hey, that's not the greatest thing in the world. I mean, enjoy it while you have it, but man, you're going to have to, you only got a year and a half of high school left, and you're going to be working towards, possibly going in the military. I said, you got to be somewhat in shape. So he's got a year and a half to hopefully figure it out. We're working slowly to help him figure out his routine before he gets out of high school, because I want him to hopefully at least have a chance, have the tools to do something with his life. And let's see here. Um, yeah, we're talking about carnivore, but saying goodbye to all the foods, saying goodbye to all the experiences, that's something that's terrifying. It was terrifying to me when I started carnivore because I got friends, they're still going out to the bars, they're still going out to restaurants, and I got family that wants to take me out to eat at times. And I don't feel the urge to go because a lot of the foods that are available at the restaurants, or at least here in Alaska, aren't on the level of foods that I want to be eating in the first place. Now, I did go to that Mongolian barbecue either last week or the week before, and I did have some pretty good success. I mean, the worst part about that was the cabbage and some sprouts and whatever that was in the Mongolian sauce. So I just cut my losses with whatever was there. But when we left the restaurant, we both felt absolutely amazing. And we haven't gone out to eat much since I started carnivore because there's just not a whole lot of options that I even want to try to consider. Because if I have to go out to eat or want to think about going out to eat with family, I have to mentally prepare myself for, okay, what am I going to find on the menu that might work with this? And about a month or two into carnivore, we did go out to a Denny's restaurant, and I can't remember what it was. It was like I ordered a skillet, but I had them remove the potatoes and put the potatoes on the side so I could bring those home. Um, there was a couple other things in the skillet I can't remember, but I had them either remove it or I took them home as a side dish. So either the dog could have it or the kids could eat it or something like that. But that was one way to get through that initial attempt. And I noticed that I was having trouble while being there because there was a lot of temptations. So that was the one thing I was trying to stay away from, was the temptations. And not going out to eat, forcing myself not to go out to eat, and trying to be as prepared as I can at the house was pretty much the best idea that I could come up with at the time. So it kind of draws you back a little bit and you become a little bit more recluse to your friends and family at that time because you're eating different foods. A lot of times you're eating on a different schedule than them. And that's something that's been a problem with me because my hours are all over the place. So I could be working at night, I could be working during the day. I don't have a set time that I'm going to be walking through the door, and and dinner's not going to be a thing. So either dinner's not there or I'm making my food because I need to go back to bed before my family's dinner time. So a lot of these things conflict each other, and trying to live in a household with family that's not on the same page, but they're trying now. Thankfully, they're trying to make better choices and better decisions with some of the foods. Since I've been doing this, I've been teaching my wife a lot about nutrition, and this is stuff I am learning at the same time. I mean, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not an expert at losing weight, even though I've had several months of very, very good, successful weight loss. And it's just a work in progress. No matter what we're doing, it's just a work in progress. And we're just going to keep on going and hope that, this continues until the next year. And how I feel right now is I feel extremely positive. Like I said, prayer had a lot to do with this. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed for the weight loss. Well, God has a funny way of answering our prayers, but doing it in a roundabout way. Because I believe at times, especially in times like mine, it's important for me to be humble. Now, I live a humble life, and I live this way for a reason. I could live in a fancy house with a lot of payments and have a really nice car. We could totally do that. But we choose to live a humble life and enjoy our life a little bit more than others that have the stress of all those other issues that most people don't need to have. So, yeah, I've been humbled with my weight loss in the last couple of weeks because I had so much success, and now all of a sudden the pounds started gaining on. So, and I hyper analyze every aspect of this weight loss, and I try to share it with you guys the best as possible. So as soon as I saw those numbers starting to bounce up, and I'm looking at it, and I made a community post on YouTube, talking about it. And there are some people out there, they're giving me their honest opinion. Like, hey man, I think you're going to gain the weight right back and you're going to balloon up. And that is a possibility. If I let it happen, that's a choice. I'm choosing not to let that happen. I'm just going to continue to eat the way I was eating and maybe make some tweaks and some improvements, because in my opinion, carnivore isn't the win all for weight loss. It is absolutely fantastic for off scale victories. And it does create a lot of situations where you can have the on scale victories. So yeah, it's just amazing. And I got a furnace in this trailer, and it's really distracting me right at the moment. But okay, let's get back on where I was talking about carnivores, weight loss. But yeah, the prayers that I had for losing weight, right up to this point, I prayed to have the weight gone, by Christmas, so I can make an awesome Christmas video, or at least hope to. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna pray some more for New Year's. I don't believe that's gonna come. And like I said, humble. You got to stay humble, and God will humble you in these situations. But He will answer your prayers in funny ways. Like today, for instance, when I took that nap without my CPAP, that was amazing. That was better than losing that weight before Christmas or New Year's. Because chances are I wouldn't have been able to put together a video that I thought was suitable for the end of the year. I had really, really high expectations for the content I create, even if it doesn't get views. I still set the bar way, way high. And I try to, add things, try to be funny, try to change camera angles. And that's why the live stream is kind of hard for me, because I can't take a break in between talking points or stuff like that. And there's a lot of ums and ahs. And I've been able to control it pretty well since I'm over 3 months into carnivore, which is fabulous for being out here on YouTube and trying to share my adventure, because it was so hard for me to talk, when I first started all of this. Hey, somebody just jumped in. Let's see, Andrew, Northwest Coins. Good evening, everyone. Hello, Andrew. Appreciate you dropping by. Like I said, I apologize. This is a random stream. I'm just trying to make the best use of my time. I have had some struggles here in the last week or two with my weight loss, so it's pretty much stalled for right now. I don't see why I can't just pick it up here coming on in the new year. We're going to continue with the good eating habits and strategies and stuff like that. So, I did have a couple ideas. I thought about doing another fast, but I'm not sure. Because with carnivore, I've been finding out something really weird, is that the more I eat meat-based products throughout the day, the more weight I tend to lose throughout the week. So it's really, so if I'm doing like 24-hour fasting where I only eat dinner and I don't eat anything for breakfast or snack on anything throughout the day, my weight kind of slows down a little bit, which is really strange to me how that all works. So, and it seems like the more calories in, the more weight I start burning, because it just takes so much energy to burn off everything there. Negative 24 degrees. Shizmaref. Wow. That's no fun. I'm sorry to hear that, man. It was cold the last couple of nights, Andrew. My truck gelled up on me last night, right in the middle of the road. So we had to rescue it, throw some 911 down in the fuel tank, and while we were waiting on some more additive to get there, one of our loaders broke down right in the middle of an intersection. So yeah, we had to rescue that first, and then eventually I did get going again. But yeah, what a headache! And these cold temperatures, it just makes working in Alaska so much harder at times. But it is what it is. We live here, we love this place, and I've lived other places in the lower 48, and I've found my life to be miserable in many of those places because they have so many rules and laws and stuff like that. I just don't care too much for it. Anyways, back on to the weight loss aspect of all of this. I really do hope within the following month. Now, there's a lot of health challenges coming up, and they tend to come up around the first of the year, and they start petering off around April and May because people are starting to get outside, the snow's melting and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you guys are getting ready to gear up and do a weight loss, not necessarily a weight loss, just a fitness type challenge, like there's a push-up challenge going on right now that I know at least a couple people are entertaining the idea of, and they're putting it on Facebook pages and stuff like that. DC Learning, I believe that's one of them. Um, what is it? I think it's Mick4. I should have wrote that down, what channel that guy was at, but he's doing another one. It's similar. It's push-ups, and he's also going to be doing some planking and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty good stuff. I mean, I was thinking of catering to that, but here's the thing. And if anybody's actually watching this video, if you could comment and let me know, because I don't know if my goal for not exercising until I get under 300 pounds is a realistic expectation. I'm starting to question that, but that is one of my goals. And I set that a while ago because mainly because I just started losing weight from 435 pounds up until now, which the scale today says 311. Still, that's a lot of weight to lose without any specific exercise plans or routines. And it's really hard to eat yourself healthy, especially when you've been unhealthy and carb addicted and sugar addicted like I was. It's really hard to eat yourself healthy until you find your rhythm, until you find your routine, until you find what works for you. So yeah, it's crazy. Mental clarity, absolutely, Ed. I mean, the mental clarity is just absolutely fantastic with carnivore, especially. Now, somebody did mention that I might have the same benefits with some ketosis type lifestyle and eating plans and stuff like that. But man, when I was doing keto, it wasn't working. I kept hitting so many walls with keto, for instance. A lot of the recipes, a lot of the keto friendly foods, when I started digging into them a little deeper, it was just a label to get you to buy this or try this or do that. And that was a lot of my headache when I first started you really getting good at losing weight, and people started approaching me with all these deals and all these products, and I'm looking at them like rolling my eyes, and I'm like, I like the offer, but I am going to break down the science of your product. I'm going to find out who makes your stuff, where it comes from. If I can't find that information out, then I don't want it. Now I see a lot of these products, they have these doctors in these nice white coats. Are they even doctors? And some of them, when I've done the research on the company, they're not doctors. They're like a foot doctor. And they're out there advertising, these like green drinks. And I'm like, you're not even you don't have any idea what health is. And you're going to, tell me how to trim my toenails. Thank you. But my cats are starting to get interested. All right. You need to not touch keys because that's going to screw everything up for me. But, yeah, anybody that's jumping in the comment section now, I appreciate you guys for showing up. Let's see, traditional foods we mostly eat here. Andrew, Northwest Coins. That's awesome, man. Traditional foods are great. And like I said, if you can find what works for you, I just came into carnivore and I tried it and I didn't think I would like it. And I just happened to like it. I don't promote it as the end all, like, dude, everybody, you need to do this, because I know a lot of vegans that are sensible, and I know a lot of vegetarians that are sensible, and just, they say the same thing about us as we say about them. Well, there's a lot of deficiencies. Well, if you're doing it right, you can be a vegetarian and have covered all your bases for deficiencies. Just like carnivore, if you should have any deficiencies, you can cover all your bases with some basics, vitamins, electrolytes, for instance, eating liver, cod liver, sardines, eggs. Eggs are so well-rounded, and sardines are super good after you changed your palate. Like, your palate changes. You're no longer super sugar addicted. And I'm starting to enjoy sardines straight out of the can. Now I get my sardines in water, and I try to eat those, throughout the week, and to hopefully jumpstart my ketosis again. and hopefully lose some weight. But yeah, we'll have to see how getting under 300 pound works without exercise, because I was really a little bit disappointed to have this conflicting dilemma in my brain about, yeah, I want to start these exercise challenges that people are putting out there, and I want to be a part of that, to be um, a bigger part of the weight loss community, and have more to talk about, because I mean there's a ton of stuff to talk about, especially from my own personal experience, and it's just overwhelming sometimes when I go throughout the week. I have all these ideas and stuff that I want to put out in videos, but my videos can only go so long. I don't have the equipment to make, hour and a half long videos. I can do live streams, and that works, but it's doing a live stream is hard for me, especially because I have a ton of anxiety. And a lot of that comes from uh, the pandemic and being morbidly obese and coming from sleep apnea and almost dying twice because of all of the stuff I've done. Sleep apnea, that almost killed me. I actually took a bath when my family was gone to a funeral in Nome, and I was over 400 and something pounds at that time. And I took a bath here in this trailer home all by myself. The family was gone. I thought it would be relaxing, and I thought it would help make my back feel better, my feet feel better. Well, I laid down in that bathtub and I got pretty comfy. Now, I mean, I'm a huge guy, and this is like a water jet type tub, but the jets are all plugged off with these rubber stoppers. So it's a big, big tub. It fits a very large man. And my wife likes it because she can get completely submerged up to her neck. And a lot of those older trailer home type tubs, you could barely fit in there. You're like, I could never get in one of those. But so yeah, I was in there for a while. And then right after I tried to get out of this bathtub, and when I was still so morbidly obese and swollen that my feet were really numb, my legs were still incredibly swollen and full of water. I couldn't get out of the tub, and my phone was in the kitchen. And I normally have my phone, somewhat within arm's reach in case I needed help. I must have floundered around, slipped and fell in that bathtub for 45 minutes to an hour, just trying to get out of the bathtub. That's how embarrassing and such a bad. I mean, I was laying there flat in the tub, like I am going to freaking die here, and my cats are going to eat me by the time my family gets home and anybody finds out that I'm even here. So, and when they're in Nome, the internet connection at the time was all screwed up. Conversations back and forth were sometimes 2 or 3 days apart. So we didn't talk much while she was gone, because she was just busy, or she was out on the coastline at camp, which has no services whatsoever. I mean, you're lucky to get out there on a four-wheeler sometimes. All right, I'm going to check on some of these messages here. Traditional foods. All right, I'm Alaska Native, Eskimo, Inupiaq. Oh, really, Andrew? All right, nice to know. Nice to meet you. Yeah, we're Alaska Native here too. My wife's from King Island. My family, a lot of my family's from Nome, and my father, he's from Bethel, Alaska. He currently lives down in Naknek right now, which is down by King Salmon. Uh, Weight loss stalls might have to do with the body adjusting to its new norm. It could also have to do with elevated stress levels or lack of quality sleep. Puff up. Yes, the lack of quality sleep. That's a big one, especially when you're working day shift and then switching over to night shift. That stresses the body out. That could have a little bit of potential to stall the weight loss. I've considered that. I'm not beating myself up over it like I would have a couple months ago when I had some previous stalls. I was really upset during a couple of those videos I made. I mean, it was hurting me. I did not like that at all. I was born in Nome, raised in Shizmara. Oh, very nice. A family name might be helpful. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell who people are, just through their YouTube handles at times. Um, yeah, we got a lot of relatives up in Nome. That's where all the Akkas live. We call them the Akkas. We got Akka, and then we have Akka, which is basically the great grandma, and just regular Akka. That's basically grandma to my children, my wife's mom. And I don't know the word for uncle because that's a hard one for me to say. So I try not to embarrass myself with using the language I don't understand too well. So yeah, the whole weight loss stall, that's a brain bender for me, just trying to figure out how to get over that. And I'm guessing that as soon as we get on into the new year, things are going to start to level out. Our income's going to hopefully level out as well. You know, this YouTube stuff, this doesn't pay anything really. I mean, I make just enough to try and reinvest a little bit back into the channel just so I can buy little knickknacks and doodads to hopefully keep this thing going. Because all the technology that's involved in trying to make decent pictures and audio is pretty time consuming and expensive. So yeah, I think since October till now, I think I'm due like a payout of $200, which is nothing. That's just revenue. That's just for those annoying little ads to pop up here and there. And most of them are skippable, thank goodness, because I know when I'm watching some videos, I see an ad and it's just like, I usually wind up swiping away just because I don't want to watch through the ads. And if you're force fed too many ads, it just makes viewers not want to watch your stuff anyhow. My mom is from Teller, Alaska. Oh, right on. Yeah, we're here in Anchorage. And we used to live out in Wasilla. I lived out in Wasilla for a good while. I owned a couple homes out there. Actually, I owned about three homes. One of them I didn't own outright and I wound up giving it back because we couldn't afford to keep it. It was a big house. It was outside my budget and outside the whole spectrum of the way I like to live. So I moved back into one of the trailer homes I previously purchased. And now I liked living out in Wasilla for a while. And then so many people started moving out of Anchorage and moving out to Wasilla. It was basically starting to turn into Anchorage. Now, Wasilla doesn't have enough roadways to handle all the people that are out there. So if there's ever like a major, huge earthquake and some little minor arteries out there get cut off, people are they're stuck on whatever little peninsula they're stuck on out there. And you don't have to be very far away from town to be a long way away from anything here in Alaska. I mean, you can just be a couple miles out in the woods and all of a sudden you're really far away, especially when something bad happens in this state. Like we have some dramatic snowstorms or earthquakes. That earthquake we had some years back, that was amazing. I was involved on several projects for, fixing ramps and fixing buildings and damaged properties and stuff like that. And there was just so much going on, and just getting the roadways figured out so people could get back and forth was a big to do. And we spent a lot of time fixing on and off ramps, even all the way out into Wasilla and here in town as well. What in the world is this? I want to see that. Get off my screen. Oh wow! And now I can see everybody's stuff here. And I was hoping we'd have a few more people here in the chat stream, but I understand most people are sleeping and my uploads are random. And let's see, I'm getting on 45 minutes now. I was only going to hopefully let this go on for about an hour and hopefully try to keep it somewhat interesting. But all right, let's talk about some of the issues I've been having. Okay. I'm probably not going to be able to make a weekend video. So I got to get out some decent talking points here. Let's see. Some of my off-scale victories that I've noticed this week are just really strange ones. I have a lot less earwax, which is something I've heard some people talk about. Now, earwax was a problem. Now, I don't know why it was a problem for so many years. I'm guessing it had a lot to do with the carbohydrates and the seed oils and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, I hardly have to clean my ears at all anymore. And that's a weird one for me. The whole earwax thing. I don't get it. If there's any science behind that, somebody can chime in at some point and let me know. But only been to Four Corners out in Wasilla. Yeah, I used to party there. That was a thing out in Wasilla. That was, man, the nightlife out there, especially when the North Slope was booming up here. The nightlife out in in those bars were just amazing because Wasilla bars in Alaska stay open till 5 a.m. That kind of blew me away, considering the majority of bars on the East Coast and a lot of other places around the country, they close about 1 o'clock in the morning. But having bars to stay open till 5 a.m. just blew my mind away because, I mean, it was almost like being at the bar for 24 hours. Oh, 48 degrees in North Carolina. You lucky duck, Ed Ortega. I crave. Oh, I carved 5 pairs earrings today. Polar bears. Oh, very nice. Walrus ivory. Yeah, I was going to ask if that was ivory. I got a lot of friends up in Nome, friends and family. They do a lot of carvings and stuff like that, and that native artwork is pretty interesting. Now, when we were visiting Nome, like it was for our wedding anniversary, we were driving up and down the coastline, and these walruses would wash up on the beach sometimes, or they would just come up and get beached themselves and die. But you'd see a walrus, and these things are actually huge. They're the size of a car. And then you won't see anybody around. You might drive down the road a little ways, and then you'll come right back. And somebody will have gone out there and harvested the head, which is amazing. Got a cat hair floating around. The furnace just kicked on, and yeah, I got to clean up around here. Christmas kind of destroyed this whole area. Behind me is just a couch full of toys, and the cats have pretty much taken down all the ornaments and tossed them all over the floor. It's just fabulous. But it is what it is. This Christmas comes once a year, and these Christmas lights up above here, they stay on pretty much all year long. We just leave them up there. We unplug them in the summer. Then we'll just leave them up there until next winter and plug them in. But all right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up this video right here. We're looking at about 46 minutes. Kind of running out of stuff. I hope I answered some questions. I hope I did my job for the week. If I can, I'll get a weight loss video up this weekend like I have been doing, and I try to stay consistent as possible. I am currently trying to figure out another short video for the week, and I really stink at making short videos for some reason. I'm just not that great. My wife's good at making reels for Facebook, and she's had pretty good success over there. But yeah, I'm not the best at making any type of short form content. I do the better long form content, in my opinion. So Easy Spring, over 30 years, been going out hunting walrus. Yeah, that would be an adventure, getting out and getting a walrus. People don't understand how we live life here in Alaska, how different it is compared to, traditional lower 48 type, everything's bought at the grocery store type life. I mean, it's just, we can feed ourselves, if we do this right. My wife goes out every year and she hunts and fish. She's the hunter and fisher in the family. And y'all might want to laugh at me like, oh, well, you don't hunt and fish, you're not the man of the house. Well, you know what? The man's got to pay for stuff too. I got to go to work so she can afford to go out and hunt and fish. It's her hobby. Driving trucks is my hobby. And it really is. It's a hobby. It's not necessarily a job. I don't drive trucks because I have to. I drive trucks because it's fun. I mean, this is basically what I do. Is I go out and I run trucks and I help people. Kind of like what I try to do with this weight loss journey is I just try to help people understand that losing weight doesn't have to be so hard. And it really isn't. It isn't hard. You just need to learn a few things about changing your mental aspects and actually learning something. Because when you learn, you're changing a lot about your brain. You're making all these new connections inside your brain, and it's going to validate certain situations that are to come by making better choices. Ladies here hunt too. Well, absolutely. My Aka's up north. Man, they love picking berries. That was fun. We went out and we picked a lot of blueberries while I was up there. And the blues up in Nome are just amazing. There was a lot of low-lying cranberries and stuff like that. I don't know if we saw any raspberries while we were up in Nome. We got a lot of raspberries here in Anchorage. And I like finding those when I can. We did have a lot of raspberries out in Wasilla too. And if you wanted blueberries, we had to go like up in the Hatcher Pass area and scour around out there. And you could usually figure out where the good patches were. If you, a lot of the Russian girls, you'd see them up on the hills uh, picking blueberries. And if you could spot them, then you knew there was a pretty decent patch around the blueberries, because that's usually where they tend to go. They harvest a lot of blueberries for their Russian families that live out there in Wasilla. They got big Russian families out in Wasilla. They have these huge, giant homes. Some of them have 15, 20 people living in the same household or on the same compound. If you could imagine that, that's incredible. Yeah, just more food in the freezer. Yeah, we still got we got about a quarter freezer full of salmon still. That'll tide us over until springtime, and then we can get out and hopefully get into some more fish. Yeah, that'd be great. Berries in Nome go by the hospital, if no ride. Yeah, we went out of town to this little lake. It was like up over the hill, and then I believe we came into almost like another little town in Nome, and then we cut off to the left, and there was like a lake up there. I'm not sure if it was called Blueberry Lake, but that's where there was just a ton of blueberries around that lake, and our kids went swimming up in there, and the water was just so freaking cold. I don't know what's wrong with these little kids up here. They love going in the ocean for some reason. The ocean and the waters up there, swimming. Just Salmon Lake. Yeah, you know the name. Okay, yeah, that's where we were. It was a nice little place out there, and it was just even nicer that there wasn't a whole bunch of people around. And I got a picture of the old cabin that's still standing, and we went in there and walked around a little bit. It doesn't look safe, but it was just a really eccentric, nice old cabin that's been sitting there. It looks like it's been sitting there for over 100 years almost. But okay, guys, I'm gonna cut this video off here. I appreciate all of you. I hope everybody has a happy new year. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. And yeah, man, until next time, yeah, we'll see you then. All right, take care, guys. Good night.